Here we go with round one. It's Magnus Carlsen with the black pieces against an FM. Punin from Ukraine. What are we seeing on the opening here, David?
Yeah, still very early days here. Magnus with black has tried to play the Sicilian defense. White, though, has tried to gain all the space, not playing with knights, not playing with pieces, instead going for pawn action in the center, trying to extend, putting the pawns on dark squares as far as possible, now bringing his knight out. Magnus is going to just lock the center and try to play on the flanks. Early days, but Magnus, I'm not sure whether he was late, whether he just was wondering what to do in the opening. He's quite a bit down on the clock already, and he might not have the type of position he wants. It's going to be a long, hard grind, this one. No easy ways out.
One thing that surprises me here, and this is for my lack of chess experience here, David, isn't it a bit dangerous to push all your pawns on the king side here if you're white? Doesn't this at some point leave you open to an attack?
Yeah, it can work very well, or it can work very badly.
Yep.
It can definitely backfire. And I think white would love to, at some point, kick away this knight. At the moment, it's not possible, as kind of the squares... Whoops, if my arrows can work. There we go. The squares are covered. The black rook as well would open up. So, as you say, you don't want to push too soon. You don't want to race forward before your pieces are ready. And Magnus, in the meantime, kind of expecting potentially a flank push. He pushes his pawns forward. And, wow, that's an interesting pose to be playing chess by Magnus's opponent.
Yeah, he looks very relaxed here.
I love that. Andriy Punin is lying down. He is playing Title Tuesday, game week 7. This is round one. He is 38 years old, a FIDE master with a rating of 2289. He has played all 6 Title Tuesdays so far in the autumn split, so he is very, very fond of this format, and he scores quite a lot of points. He has a record in the autumn splits of 6.5 points. Impressive stuff, and especially if that's the way you play Title Tuesday. I like that.
This looks precarious with the pawn push, as you said, David. The king looks very open to my eyes, but is it rather safe in the corner there, or no?
Yeah, I think for now it's okay. It's high risk, high reward. As we mentioned, he's essentially saying the black knight is going to be pushed to a bad square. And wow, he jumps forward with his own knight. A bit surprised by that one. As you say, the white king is going to be vulnerable. He's going to hope to protect it maybe on the light squares with the bishop to dodge any checks here. But there are tactics in the air. Knight takes pawn is one idea. Since the white pawn is kind of overwhelmed here, it's overworked, defending a pawn, defending its own knight. But Magnus plays on the other side of the board instead, and Punin is...
The evaluation bar does favor him, yeah.
Yeah, looking good, apparently, but I'm going to say it's complicated. And in practical terms, I would far rather be black with the safer king.
Yeah. Is Magnus going to elect to leave his king in the middle rather than castle and keep that rook on the file towards the king? Is that sort of what his long-term goal is?
That's a great question. I think knowing Magnus, he likes to kind of tease the opponent. He's like, wait, attack me in the center, attack me in the center. As soon as someone goes for his king in the center, he'll run away. So he might be keeping them one up his sleeve for later. I think for now, definitely the black king is happy where it sits.
Punin is better on the bar, and Magnus is about to take under 3 minutes on the clock. Remember the format, 5 minutes for each players. No increment, that's the new format in Title Tuesday. And Magnus now has 2 minutes and 50 seconds left on his clock. Can that become an issue?
Definitely. It's rare to see Magnus kind of in maybe a bit of trouble on the board, but especially lower on the clock in the early rounds. Normally he just trusts his instinct, blitzes through the opposition, essentially. And here we go. He opens up a line. This could be very good for black, as we mentioned, or it could backfire. Now, after a recapture, the white rook also gets access to the H file, and there might be a pin if Magnus is a bit too slow. So, wow, a quick flurry of moves. We saw some trades. The black bishop captured the white knight, and the black knight goes back. He's playing a bit of a waiting game, Magnus. He's going to slowly bring his knights around to better squares. And you said it, Virtual. The white pawns might be overextended. The white king might be a bit weak.
Yeah, that looks scattered. That looks like there's been, an actual war in the middle of the board, and there definitely has. But for me, in these middle game positions, I really struggle to see the long-term plans in the game. So as you said, this knight maneuvering. When you point it out, it's very obvious. Oh yeah, that looks nice. But I think this is what I find really fascinating, is seeing all these long-term prospects that you might have towards the opponent. White does have the bishop pair, though, and as more and more pieces, especially the queens, are traded off, doesn't that favor our player from Ukraine here, Punin?
It should. That's right. The center's quite blocked, so the knights at the moment have stable squares, but I'm very biased towards bishops. I fully agree. And not just that, but white has an extra pawn. It's hard to count here. It took me a while, but the pawns are so scattered. They're all isolated or doubled, but he does have one more than Magnus. So right now, I'm expecting him maybe to start trying to improve his pieces. This rook, kind of unemployed right now, not doing much. He can swing that over to either the center or maybe all the way across to a potentially open line. Magnus, I think he's just fighting for a draw on the board, but suddenly he's up on time, and we know how magical Magnus can be in the endgame.
Exactly.
And one thing I've noticed here also is I believe Poonen is not using a mouse, but a touchpad on the laptop.
Oh.
And so as time ticks down, you could imagine that might be a little slower for each move, and maybe that comes into play. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, I used to do that myself, and I had to give it up because I was too slow.
yeah.
So touchpad, trackpad, it's a high-risk strategy, but it's nice to be relaxed. So relaxed, he's horizontal, but yeah, he's traded off one of those bishops, so I think that's a big gain for Magnus. No more bishop pair for Poonen.
How important is the speed on the mouse for you in Trackmania, Virtual?
Well, the speed on how fast you're able to click or move your fingers is quite important, but most players use keyboard actually. Keyboard
Really?
and controller, yeah. So that's, the mouse doesn't get much use in Trackmania. Some players actually use it, but it's very rare. But in chess, I know it's everything. You gotta be precise. Like some chess players could be very good at other video games because of their mouse speed.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. They actually practice it, right? Well, Magnus is playing with the black pieces here. He's up on the clock. I guess the game could be turning in his favor. Also playing a game now in round one is, of course, Anna Crumling from the Dave Cave. She's in trouble. She's playing a very strong IM, and he is in a winning position right now. And Anna has 10 seconds left on the clock. I'm keeping an eye on that as well. Can she turn it around? You also mentioned another of your favorite players, Arjun, with his aggressive style. He's also playing with the black pieces here in round one against Ginger GM. Simon Williams, the world number one.
It's definitely gone wrong for Poonen. He had the advantage. He was one pawn up. Now he's suddenly 2 pawns down, but he has counterplay. This rook is attacked. If the black rook moves, then the white rooks, they're both ganging up on the pawn in front of it. The black king would then come under serious fire here. Magnus has no checks, so Magnus might be forced to sacrifice this rook for the bishop, maybe bring his knight to the center just to defend a pawn, and no, quick flurry of moves instead. And we see, blunder there from Poonen. Magnus now can simplify to a rook and pawn endgame. He's got 2 extra pawns. He should now be winning.
Magnus doing Magnus things here in round one, massively better now on the board. With your chess level, Virtual, are you able to sort of see the win for Magnus here?
Well, I'll be honest and say no. I like it, if I traded off the rook with the pawns and the king, I feel very confident. But there's still work to do, you know. You gotta advance very slowly here, upwards. But it looks like he's getting it done. This should be trivial for him.
Yeah, both players smiling, by the way. That's a nice sight to see. Poonen maybe won't be smiling for too much longer. There we go. The pawns are advancing. As Virtual says there, you have to do it step by step, really slowly. One pawn might be sacrificed as a decoy. It's going to be this pawn far away from the white king that's going to crown the victory for Magnus.
Poonen, the clock is red. Let's turn sound on Magnus to hear him talk to his viewers.
Standard from here. Check.
He seems very chill.
It's just a walk in the park.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the chance to show a little bit of technique, but I do know how to build a bridge. Just here, this is what it's called, building a bridge. Now the rook builds the so-called bridge and allowing the king to come back and the rook to block.
There it is. It's a win for Magnus Carlsen. In round one, Poonen. Does he lose on the clock and on the board?
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
Black was about to make a new queen with his remaining pawn, so it was game over. Very interesting game there, but Magnus ultimately, in the endgame, always seems to come out on top.
Jumping straight into this one still. Round one, Daniil Dubov with the black pieces, playing Avzar. What are we seeing?
Wow, and white is totally winning. White's pawn is about to become a new queen, but look at the clock. He's down to just a few seconds left. I think the clock froze there. We will get an update any second. Avzar, one of the Turkish wonder kids, So many of them these days. He's got 2 seconds to deliver checkmate. The king's in the corner. He doesn't. He stalemates him instead. Daniil Dubov escapes.
Ooh.
Stalemate to end that game.
Wow, Daniil Dubov, one of the favorites every week in Title Tuesday. He gets lucky. It's a draw against the 15-year-old of Tsar. All right, he was about to win.